anything. I've just I've just considerably cut back. So I tend to not eat anything till lunchtime.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm skipping breakfast, which was like a big bowl of porridge typically.
Yeah,
and that's just pure. Like this fitness guy was saying to me, so what you I said I have porridge before I go to the gym. He said, why'd you do that? I said, well, to give me energy. He said, no, you don't need that.
Yeah, exercise before you eat. That's definitely what you've got to do. You're meant to activate the body fat in order. That's the energy. So don't eat before workout.
Exactly.
That's for sure.
What I hadn't appreciated is carbohydrates. Carbohydrates soak up vast amounts of water, adding a lot of weight and bloat to your body.
Yep, I can believe that.
You can have 200 calories of smoked salmon, or 200 calories of like a couple of pieces of toast. And the couple of pieces of toast is going to make you fat, and the smoked salmon is just not, even though the calories is the same. Calories is irrelevant. Right, yeah. Calories is utterly irrelevant.
It's eat protein, boiled eggs, mate. Boiled eggs are the best thing for basically keeping lean and staying full, because you can't eat 3 boiled eggs, right? You cannot eat 3 boiled eggs in a row. It's like you just can't do it. You can't. But 2 of them, you can eat that. You will not put on weight. I'll sort you out for like 6 hours. No worries. That's the food you got to eat.
Yeah, so, and anything that disintegrates inside your digestive system fast is likely to you're going to be hungry quite quickly later. So things like toast and cake and stuff like that is just
well, this is one of the philosophies behind why processed foods are really bad, because and not only does it contain adulterants, which sugars and stuff like that's obviously going to be bad for you, preservatives and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But also because it's been milled, so that you're not doing that much work to digest it. So you usually have to chew things down, you have to grind down all this type of stuff. Once it's in your stomach, the stomach has got to work to digest. But if you stripped it all back and you just turn it into literal like little flour, effectively, it just goes straight in. It absorbs straight in. So that's why, when you're eating things like rice, for instance, the reason why brown rice is better, quote unquote, than white rice is because brown rice is harder to digest. It's simply got a husk on it.
It's still got very limited nutritional value, and you probably don't need it. I mean, you can cut out rice, bread, pasta, stuff like that without having almost any impact on anything.
Yeah, that's true enough. But at the same time, hang on, I've just got to sort Andy Foot out.
It's when sugar goes into your bloodstream and turns into glucose. That's the bit that's like, makes you hungry.
Difficult. Yeah,
puts on weight.
And it's no good as you get older.
Chris says we're making him hungry.
Great, apologies, guys. I'm really sorry, everybody. But as you get older, as Adam and I are, you got to think about this more. Like, you can't rely on your 25-year-old metabolism to get you out of trouble. You basically need to be in situations where you're thinking about what you're putting into your body at all times. Send us your dietary tips, folks. Like, how do we stay fit, healthy, lean and mean, ready for action, yet not just chowing down on sawdust all the time? That's no good. Anyway, listen.
Charlotte said, you'd be so sad without those things, and carbs are life. I've lost 20 pounds in 6 weeks by not cutting out anything. I've just cut down considerably. I've eaten, if I don't like rice, bread, pasta, stuff like that, I'm getting so much less sugar, and I still had a piece of cake last night. But it's just a lot less. That's all.
Portion control, another thing, is massive. Like if you're literally going out all the time, you just typically have a big meal. But if you just control what you cook and eat, and if you just if you're full, just stop eating. That's like one of the basic things you should do, rather than think I've got to pile through it. No, put it in some Tupperware, stick it in the fridge, have it for lunch. You'll be all good. Daniela, quite right. 30 minutes a day walk, that'll do you in as well.
Yeah, that is good. But the older you get, definitely the more diet is. I mean, I've not changed anything about. I've always done loads of exercise, but I was 16 stone 2, which Americans won't understand what that means. But like, I was really pretty heavy 6 weeks ago.
Yeah. You can feel it in your body anyway. It's not, don't need to weigh yourself. You feel yourself getting slower and doing like stupid things like can't get out of bed properly and all this type of BS. So anyway, listen, we'll do a diet show at some point, folks. How about that? But welcome to Brainfood Live on Air. It's episode 167, bringing it to you every Friday, no fail. It's a blazing hot, sunny afternoon in London. We're again in the middle of a mini heat wave. I think it's 35 degrees out there. So I've got the windows open. Which does mean like sound control is going to be pretty bad in this episode. I do beg your pardon. If you hear action on the street, I live in quite a lively street, then I do apologize in advance. But it's way too hot to have shut windows today. Okay, listen, just a quick sound check because we're doing something different today. Folks on Crowdcast, if you can hear me okay, please let me know on the chat stream whether that's okay. We are actually live streaming onto a different LinkedIn page today. So no longer is it going through my personal profile. I have experimented with a LinkedIn event via the Recruiting Brainfood company page. And the reason why I want to do that is simply to just try it because it looks like you can set up events there and potentially you can invite people there as well. So I want the people who are watching this, I don't think there's going to be many because there's only like 89 people who have signed up to the company page, to the company event. But if you are watching it there, let me know if you can see me and hear me okay, because that's actually really thrilling for me to figure out. I rarely experiment because these are the kinds of things that are, don't if it's not broke, don't fix it. But I thought I'd give it a shot this one time because I think LinkedIn events might be something I need to keep an eye on. So anyway, let me know whether you can hear and see me okay on LinkedIn events. Oh, sounds fine. Thank you very much, Rachel. Appreciate it. And Deborah, yeah, good to know that it's very hot in Chichester as well. Okay, we've got some people watching it. Looks like a similar number of people than normal. So maybe we keep it piped that way. Okay, let's get on with the show. Firstly, a big shout out to our sponsors. Remember, folks, we cannot do this show without our sponsors. They support this show every week. Today's sponsors are our good friends at Screenloop, screenloop.com. If you are not using any kind of interview intelligence software, you should check out Screenloop. They do much more than do that. They do reference checking, they do coordination, they do interview workflow, they do all of that stuff. But I think the most interesting thing that they started with is still their core product, which is basically recording people's interviews and then doing analysis on it. In other words, telling you who is speaking, how long are they speaking for, is there anything you need to look out for in terms of whether there's variance in terms of how interviewers behave to different types of candidate. It's going to be one of those tools which I think most organizations will look at and think we need to put it into our system in order to de-bias our recruiting. It is a new category of HR tech, which I'm really bullish about. Interview analytics, interview intelligence, call it what you will, but check out Screenloop if you have not already done so, because they are one of the leading players in the game. Screenloop.com. I'm just going to share it in the chat stream. There we go. I hope that helps. Oh shit, shared the wrong thing there. Sorry. You know what? One of these days I'm going to share absolutely the wrong link, and it's going to cause me some problems.
You know what I mean? Your Tinder profile.
No, but it'll be all sorts of stuff that, it's a little bit for your eyes only sometimes. And it's like, oh yeah, just randomly just flick it out. Oh shit. But anyway, that's what it is. Check it. All right, Adam, let's get on with it. Did you read the newsletter last week? And if so, what was interesting, man?
Yep, I did. First thing I want to talk about is Kevin Wheeler's blog about overcoming talent shortages. It's getting worse. It's going to get worse, of course. Aging population, all that sort of stuff. So the first thing that he said was education. Better education, better training people. Building the workforce of the future. That is like the number one most important thing. However, that on its own is not going to solve it. So he pointed out, of course, things like automation, much flatter corporate structures. He said that there is the days of like big behemoth businesses with like 20 layers of management. There's going to be very few of those in the future. And so, pointed out some very practical things, nothing mind-blowing in it, but a useful reminder of what we're going to need to focus on. And for the earlier you are in your career in recruitment, I think the more beneficial keeping in touch with what Kevin's saying is going to be for you, because you've got a longer career ahead of you. And he finished by saying the role of the recruiter as we know it today is not really going to exist in the future. And I completely agree with that. Specialist aspects of what we do today are going to be in more demand than ever, such as talent intelligence, helping the organization understand how to structure, where to find the people, where the skills are, and what needs to be homegrown and what needs to be outsourced, etc. The other one for me is experience design. We need a constant review, which only humans can do, around what is the best ways to engage and bring people into our organizations. And of course, as standards change, they're going to need to change for the experience design for like nurture and, application process, recruitment process, onboarding, and all that kind of thing as well. And then the other one will be like the job of robot managers. So there's a lot of them in RPOs, and in the very biggest organizations, we already have them as well. People who are focused on what's the right tech to make us more productive and successful. So Ross's question, who will replace the recruiter? And in my opinion, you should always be hiring even when you're not. That is 100% correct, but it doesn't need humans to do it. It needs humans to set up the right environment for people to come into your organization and not to be going and individually finding them, reaching out to them and interviewing them.
Yeah, I think that's probably correct. Folks, I'd be interested in your thoughts on that. Kevin is put together, he's quite bearish on the future of recruitment, really, but I think he's an optimist at the same time, because he is kind of trying to show us an alternative path that recruiters can take. But I think it's well worth reading his post. I've shared it in the chat stream. I'm aligned a little bit with what a lot of him and Adam typically say. What I particularly like about his post, though, was that he actually links it with labor force replacement. So in other words, demographically, many countries, in fact, all countries that are economically developed are getting older. That we're not replacing the people with new generations of workers. We've kind of got away with it with a reasonably high immigration rate over a period of time. But if you think about it, we've had a negative kind of reaction in terms of right-wing politics rising in all of these countries, which are often explicitly anti-immigrant. It's difficult for countries to be able to adopt a explicitly pro-immigration platform and achieve political power in democratic countries. And what else are you going to do? There's going to be a shortfall. You look at the people that are doing the work, travel. Look at anyone's been on a plane in the last 4 weeks or this summer at all, trying to travel. That is a demographic crisis. Like the people we relied on to do that type of work typically were immigrants. And they've been either, COVIDed out or driven out in whatever way. They've gone back home or gone to different countries. We can't find a replacement for those folks. There's not the native population to do it. And automation must be the only way. And the more we automate, by the way, is actually the less overall recruiting we'll be doing as well. So, we're going to be reaping what we sow pretty soon. Anyway, do check it out. We're going to do a Brainfood Live on this on the 30th of September, by the way, where we're going to be talking where are all the workers gone. I've already got Pavel Adrian of Indeed coming join us. I think Sarah Ali of Radency might join us as well. So we've got a few people that are labor market economists that are going to come in and bring in their research to discuss this. So follow the channel on Crowdcast if you want to make sure you sign into that. If you are a little bit further thinking in terms of where all this is lying, that's where you need to check out. Okay, give us another one, Adam.
So some of the people that are on here today may well have hiring freezes. They might not be filling all the same jobs that they were, the number of jobs that they were a few months ago. And of course, this relates to some of the very biggest companies. One of the things that we read in Brainfood was the truth from interviewing.io, the truth about Google and Facebook's hiring freezes. And the TLDR sort of on that is they're still hiring loads of engineers. So of 1,003 people that they surveyed, this is engineers, 44% were middle of interviewing with Amazon, 43%, so almost the same number with Google, and a still really large 16% were interviewing with Facebook. I'm going to link that to another piece of Brainfood, which was whether there's hiring freezes or not, whether your company's restructuring or whatever it's doing, it's a really great time, as Bill Berman said at Wreckfest, it's a really great time to be pipelining talent, and it's a really great time to be reviewing the way that you go about doing certain things. So the article from First Round, which is about a subject I don't really spend a lot of time on, but assessment, interviewing, all that kind of thing, getting better creative, doing the whole thing better and redesigning that now. Do it now while you might have a little bit more time. I'm conscious I'm saying that to a group of people who have probably got more recs than ever in the site here, but making data-backed decisions, enabling candidates to show you how they can do something rather than just tell you how they can do it. And then things like better job descriptions, that type of thing. That was really great as well.
I think, the ability to do that is oftentimes we just need to create better measurements for recruiters, because a lot of those operational improvements, they're not necessarily mapped to things that we're judged on. We're always judged on very basic and crude metrics like how many people have you hired fundamentally. Yeah, that's basically, if you're a recruiter, I expect you to make 50 hires. If you have not made 50 hires, you're out. However, we need to say, you know what? No, the person's not hired 50 hires, but he or she has done this in terms of the way in which they design job ads. They have increased the diversity of candidates coming through the pipeline to this level. They've improved the candidate experience in terms of to this level. All of those types of metrics need to be built into how we assess recruiters, because I think that's part of the reason why a lot of these real systemic improvements that we all, I think, have the capability to do, but we never do is because we're not measured on it. And of course, we're just going to lean towards stuff that, of course, we're going to be measured against. Oftentimes we're compensated on that basis. So you've made 52 hires, there's a bonus. We need to start really aligning KPIs to behaviors and compensation to KPIs. So we need to get on with that. Ivan, by the way, thank you very much for your advice on splitting Brainfood into two.
Oh, to shut up.
No. It's part of the reason actually why I'm trying to experiment maybe with sticking it through an event on LinkedIn, because I'm considering it basically. Because I do believe that we've got two different themes. We wanted to review the newsletter, but then we also want to get on with the topic as well. So it could be two different shows there that we do next year. Anyway, to be confirmed. All right, one more, Adam, before we get to Andy on.
Well, the other one would be, the top 10 mistakes organizations make when they're looking to go become agile. This is right from a guy who writes a blog called like Scrum Party or something like that. He's a Scrum Master, I think. And I'm not going to go into all 10 because I can't remember all 10 mistakes that companies make when they go to become agile. But the first one is setting a desire to go agile. So like going agile is not a purpose. Like there's no going agile is not an achievement. But the irony about this is the companies that go out there and actively communicate internally, right? We're going agile now. And then everyone's like, in 2022, you're going agile. What the hell have you been doing for the last 15 years? Why are you so late to go agile? So probably not a good look, not a badge of honor to go out and tell everybody that you're going agile.
No, and by the way, but folks, this is really, really good blog post. I recommend you read. Totally relevant to anybody doing change management or doing measurements or doing anything. It is fundamentally, I think, again, pro agile in the sense there's lots of things we can learn from it, but it's a critique of people that have fetishized agile as just a solution to everything. Because if you go back to the Agile Manifesto, like the basic sort of one pager that's published, that's still out there, by the way, just Agile Manifesto, Google that. It will say it's always over. The process should never be the dominant thing. It should always be conversations over process. It should always be outcomes rather than documentation. All of that stuff is in there, right? So the Agile Manifesto tells you exactly what it is. But what's occurred over time is that basically you get true movementarians, people that think they know agile more than anybody else, and they're purists. And ultimately, what agile is at root and spirit is anti-purist. It's a pragmatic way of doing things. So this blog post is fantastic. It tells you a little bit about that, but it also picks out those scenarios where you might encounter where you seem as if you're ritualistically doing something, and it'll give you one solution, give you one line to say, actually, if you do this, this is how it meant to be. Yeah, excellent. It'll help operations get better. All right, listen, let's get Andy on ASAP. But before we do that, what are your thoughts on LinkedIn, Adam? You're a heavy user. I'm a heavy user. What have you seen in terms of LinkedIn's sort of changes over the last 12 months that you think are relevant to talk about today?
Well, I spent quite a few years doing nothing but helping companies use LinkedIn effectively. And of course, I've not done that for quite a long time now. So, Andy's knowledge on this is way ahead of mine. But the one thing that I've noticed, and I'm interested to find out from Andy if this is correct or not, is when you do it the way they want to do it, LinkedIn rewards you. So I put up a post yesterday on LinkedIn, and I did it using one of their let's celebrate something, templates, whatever. And this post, which was definitely no more, in fact, probably less interesting than anything else I've posted in the last week, got a lot more interactions than anything else. So that's one of the things I've noticed.
So the LinkedIn prompts, the ones where they prompt you to say, hey, do this, you obey the prompt, and then it gives you views, I guess.
I think this is, I think this is something I've been noticing more and more during the year, which is if you use templates and things, like if you click on that star icon when you go to create a LinkedIn post that says celebrate an occasion, and then you start putting stuff in there using that template, then it sent this post to a lot more people.
It might well do that. Well, let's bring Andy on. Let's have a look, and we'll see what he says. And yes, Chris, I think we know what we're talking about here. Quite an interesting story. It's going to go into Brainfood next Sunday, but it might be worth talking about because that's actually a good example of viralizing a post. But obviously, the chap has been pretty much pilloried for it as an outcome. I don't know whether you've seen it, Adam, but the crying CEO.
I've seen a lot like it. But I don't think I've seen the one. Is this a brand new one, like this week?
You'll see it on Sunday, but it's happened this week where this guy basically fired a few people in his business. But then he wrote about a post, which I think is totally legit to do. But he took a picture of himself crying and attached that as an image. And that ended up annoying everyone because he thought, oh, wow, this guy's literally making it all about himself. And he got pilloried for it. And he's like, oh, crap. It's actually really interesting to see. I thought he handled the response quite well. Look at his comments. He's like talking to people. But then people are hammering him for saying, look, actually, you've just been a narcissist. And then other people saying, yeah, but he's actually got a massive viral post. So maybe that's what he's meant to do. So, it's quite an interesting one. Andy Foote, let's bring you straight into this. What do you think about the crying CEO? What's your overall take on this example of LinkedIn content? Because that's what we're talking about today.
Hello, Hung. Thanks very much for having me on. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. Outstanding. Hello, Adam. Hello. Yeah. So I think he was rightly so, who's pilloried because the main problem I think that the majority of people had with that particular post was it was all about him. And it had nothing or very little to do with the people he had fired. So that was the main thing. But the second one was I think lots of people are getting kind of peed off with the oversharing, the vulnerability, a lot of it is like it seems to be attention seeking for the wrong reasons. And that's the general swell, is that there's so much personal content on LinkedIn these days that people are saying, what is this? I mean, this is Facebook, right? This is no longer LinkedIn, because LinkedIn used to be this professional networking site. And now I'm getting all of this noise when I've been used to Signal. So I think it's all of that. And I see people also doing hybrid, right? They're thinking, yeah, you know what? I see all of this personal stuff doing really well, engagement-wise. I'm going to do hybrid. I'm going to do the first bit about me and my life and what's been happening, and then I'm going to end with some kind of value thing, some kind of businessy thing at the end. So you literally see that. You see that, and you see a lot of people saying, I don't normally do this, but I wouldn't normally share this, but, and it's just, come on. We know why you're doing it. Go ahead, Adam.
So
I
saw right. Okay. So now I know why I saw a LinkedIn post that I just thought was stupid, but now I understand it. And the LinkedIn post that was stupid was, this is the most vulnerable thing I'm ever going to do on LinkedIn. I just forgot. I couldn't help it. I didn't do it. I forgot to tell my wife that I wanted a McDonald's, and she came back with a burger for herself and not me.
Yeah. Right. So it's parody as well, but it's also it's fake apologetic, because they're not really sorry. It's kind of an intro to, this post is going to be personal, but it may also be business. But guess what? I'm allowed to be personal now.
Let's so Andy, I didn't introduce you because everyone knows you already. So you're the only guest that never gets introduced anymore, because you're LinkedIn famous, mate. So there's no need to introduce Andy Foote, the LinkedIn famous guy. But let's still listen to a few things, because we are talking about LinkedIn content. And ultimately, is there now a backlash against this faux authenticity? I think that the first crime is if you like, is it authentic? And I think there's a huge doubts about whether the authenticity of it, because who takes a picture of themselves crying? Like, if you're crying and you're emotional, the last thing you're going to think about is picking up the phone. If you're really upset, I ain't picking a picture of that. So
exactly.
There's an authenticity challenge.
Exactly.
And secondly, at what point does vulnerability become overshare, or at what point does it become narcissism? Right? Yeah. As you mentioned, Andy, it was 100%. Like, is it just like you can't get out of your own head to such an extent that you've decided that this is vulnerability, but in fact, what you're really looking for is to perform in front of an audience. And guess what? You're being rewarded because 7,000 people have commented, and that's probably one of the few million impression posts that have occurred, because it's been massively viralized. Yeah. So he's got the attention that's required. But folks, I'd be interested in your opinion. Is there too much overshare on LinkedIn? Yes, no. Let me know in the comments. Okay.
I don't think there is personally too much. Everybody should be themselves, and this whole thing around like, oh, this isn't Facebook anymore. This is becoming like Facebook. So what? People are people. You're only one person. You're not one person in a suit and a different person in your shorts. You're still the same person. I've got no problem with people being vulnerable, with people, talking about themselves, talking about non-professional things. But that does sound quite narcissistic, because he just made a bunch of people redundant and made it about himself. So that's the problem I've got with that.
I mean, it's a horrible. I think it's a toxic mix of virtual signaling and narcissism. There was a great example of this when, as Hung said, you're not crying, and the first thing you do is, hey, this is going to be a great LinkedIn post. Let's do it. Now, there was another great, I say great, but it's actually horrible example of virtual signaling and narcissism. There was a lady who was evidently walking on a street, and she saw this guy who was about to jump off a bridge, and she swooped in, and I don't know if she rescued him. She may, I don't recall. She may have said she did. And then what did she do? She takes a picture of his crumpled form, right, on the pavement after, presumably, and rightly so. Everyone said, "What? WTF?" I know Hung doesn't like me to swear. What are you doing here? I mean, this is disgusting. Just do that. Do that fantastic act of humanity, but don't share it. Don't make it all about you. And also, by the way, did this guy give permission? All right, his face wasn't shown, but did he? I mean, was he part of that? And so she had to explain herself. And then she's a paralegal, and that's probably her, her brand damaged for life.
So there's a point where you've got to decide as well, though. You post it and then you go, shit, this has all gone gangbusters. Maybe I shouldn't have done this. And then you hover over the delete and then go, actually, that's going to make it worse because 1,000 people have screenshotted this.
But she did delete it. She did.
There's got to be a point where you got to either back yourself or go, damn it, I shouldn't have done that. Delete.
Actually, she didn't delete it. I think LinkedIn deleted it. I think LinkedIn editorial team may have been asleep. Actually, it may have happened when they took the whole week off, and everyone took the whole week off, including anyone who was watching, the feeds. So that that maybe escaped and it went viral. I don't know.
So I think generally speaking, it's interesting to observe from a sociological point of view, because there is like a backlash against performative goodwill. It's you're trying to basically. I mean, I think he didn't even Jesus Christ have a problem with this. The overly prominent adherent on the street corner that's giving himself up to God and all this type of stuff, but he's clearly invisibility of everybody, and that's why he's not going up to make it at the final pass. So I think we inherently have a problem with this, but isn't it also the case, to draw it back to LinkedIn content feed, that these people are responding to a set of rules that LinkedIn have themselves created that encourages this behavior? Like we all want our posts to go get as many eyeballs as possible. So fundamentally, isn't LinkedIn at fault? Because it's got some dumb engagement on there. If it gets engagement, that's fine. People have found a way to do it. Back in the Oleg days, if you remember him, before he was unfairly deplatformed, I might add. Like seriously, you could. I don't know why LinkedIn have got rid of him. It's like he was all right, but anyway, different issue. But if LinkedIn is doing this, LinkedIn has the responsibility, really, because they've got to curate the experience for everybody, rather than lambasting people who are exploiting a system that is there to be exploited.
See, I don't see it as rules. I don't think LinkedIn has deliberately created a rubric for this. I think what's happened is that people have started doing it, and then quickly realized, other people watching this, and thought, hold on a second. If Hung's posting about his vacation pics, and he dove in and he rescued a child, and that got freaking thousands of yay, well done, Hung, you're a lifesaver, then everyone's going, oh, hold on a second, let me plow back into my memory and what I can bring to the table, and let me also similarly come across as a wonderful human being. And so look, I get what Adam's saying about this is not all bad. I mean, sharing personal stuff is absolutely fine. This is what we do in the office, right? This is around the water cooler. This is the chit chat that is essential, right, to make your work life less miserable. Is having that human interaction. Absolutely. Are there better ways to do it on LinkedIn? Yeah, without a doubt. Have we found it yet, or have some people found it? I don't know. I mean, I express my personality and my character through my writing. But you'd be hard pressed to find anything about me personal. I very rarely share anything personal, and that's just the way I'm hardwired. I just don't want to put it out there. But I also think I have a good sense of who my audience is, and they want LinkedIn insights. They're not necessarily interested that my dad was in the army and he was in Belfast and et cetera, et cetera. And I've tested that.
But you're a special case though, Andy, because your business is very much about looking into this, whereas all of those other characters that we're talking about, like vast majority of humanity on LinkedIn, they have jobs to do. They do their own thing, but occasionally they may get a bunch of eyeballs come in their way. It's probably a good thing for what they're doing. So they've got a different thing. Whereas I think you've got a very specialist view on it. Let's look at things technically, Andy. Leaving aside the ethics and the behavioral side of it, I think we always want to try and get you in to just update us as to what major changes have gone on. And I think since the last time you came on, there has actually been some significant changes to how LinkedIn have operated. So I wonder whether you just share us a few of those in case people don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the had a pen at the ready. Yeah. So the biggie, without a doubt, was the introduction of the what I call the Notify Me bell. Are you guys familiar with this? Right. So this kind of came out of the blue because there was no announcement. It just appeared, and the lowdown on this thing is that if you are following someone, then you will see this little bell icon, and it'll just be an outline, right? Sort of to the top right under their banner, you'll see this bell. Now, if you click on it, it'll turn gray, so the outline will fill, and that means that you are now going to be notified every time that author publishes. So you got to be a follower, you'll see the bell. If you're not following, you won't see the bell. You click on that bell, in theory, you will get notified. Now, there's a trust factor here because people are complaining vociferously that, I've clicked your bell and I never see your stuff. Okay, so what's that all about? Number one. Number two, again, believe but verify. Unless you have a subscriber list, right? You can't check. You can't see, right, who is following you, and you can't then go, hey, Hung, did you get my did you get notified because I see you're on my subscriber list for this bell thingy? So we can't do that, and that it behooves LinkedIn to give creators, authors that info, because right now, if we're not getting notified and we click on this bell, then WTF? What is the point? Is it working? And then that begs the question, well, LinkedIn has long been known to be clunky. The infrastructure, some people have said, it's all held together by, packing tape. It's not that robust, not that sturdy. Perhaps one of the reasons they're not doing that, showing us the subscriber list, is that they're not that sure that everyone is indeed getting notified. That could be why, or it could be just that they're like in data hoarding mode and say, no, you cannot have this info. We have this info. We may want to use this info in certain ways, or it could be a control issue. We don't want you to become too powerful building up these mega subscriber lists, and then maybe using that information to maybe take your subscribers off of the rented land and elsewhere. Could also be that. Could be a combination of both. But why? The question I always ask about why this bell suddenly appearing, which is amazing in concept, right? It's the ability to build a subscriber list with your short form content. That's fascinating. Why? So it could be maybe this is a defensive move. Maybe they're worried about legislators coming after them and saying, listen, your platform allows too much algorithm manipulation of the users. Therefore, right, if by LinkedIn doing this, they say, no, Mr. Legislator, we have subscriber options here. It's not all algorithmic. Go ahead.
Let me intrude right now because Adam's just come up with a brilliant idea where we can empirically test whether the notification bell actually works. Because our good friend Oleg has disappeared. Why don't we go and check Oleg's profile now and click the damn bell, Oleg's bell. And then if he starts reappearing on your feed, it will revive him. That means that the bell works.
I thought he was off. Wasn't he booted off? Does he have a profile page anymore?
I hope he's still there.
I looked the other day. He's gone.
My question is, Andy, you said about publishers so they get notified when a user publishes
short form content.
When an author publishes
a post.
Does that mean posts?
Just post. Yeah, just post. Yeah. So newsletters are a completely different animal, and there you do have a subscriber list, right? You've got your newsletter subscribers, and LinkedIn actually does identify those, but in this horrible fashion, it's just a long ass scrolling list. It's like, really, this is all you're going to give us? So yeah, that's a separate animal. But posts, notifications, for the bell works for posts.
So Ross has gone, all right, folks, why don't you do this instead? Why don't you click on my notification? And if you start seeing stuff going on, then at least you will know that this happens. But I actually don't think it works. I mean, I've seen it and I've clicked on a few bells and I'm none the wiser. It doesn't seem to have changed the feed in any way. So it might just be something they've just chucked out there on the front end, but it's not like plugged into anything.
Right. So, but it's not your home feed, right? It's your notification feed. That's where you should see. Hung Lee has published a post. That's where you should get the notification from the bell.
Right. Okay. I get it. Okay. Let's. What else has gone on apart from the bell?
Okay. So the bell was big, and then the next thing most recently has been an announcement from Blake Barnes, who's a VP of product at LinkedIn. I think this was last week or so. This is splitting the fire hose of a feed that we have right now into 4 separate feeds, and the 4 feeds are top videos, newsletters, and events in that order. Now, here's the statement. We're testing a dedicated space for you to discover relevant content and voices from people and organizations you're not connected with, who you might not see or hear from otherwise. You can expect to see trending conversations from voices that align with your professional interests, news, and relevant events curated by our editorial team, and a wealth of other knowledge designed to help you get ahead in your career. So very much emphasis on career and all of that good stuff, professional interest. But note that this is from people that you wouldn't normally see. So, what's top all about? Is top from people that you do want to see? Because this is the feed, right? We do expect to see a mix in terms of peers, people that we do want to see, and discovery. Now, if it's all discovery, that's a different ball game altogether. And what's interesting is people have been asking, I've been asking for separate tabs, right? Videos, right? Why can't we just see videos if that's our mood, if that's what we want to plow through on that particular day in time? Newsletters is an interesting one because, again, it's all is it going to be curated by LinkedIn editors? Well, how do you get into that particular stream? I mean, that's a is that something you might have to pay for? How do they choose? And of course, LinkedIn are mum about this. They don't tell us anything about that. Events, again, this would be great, especially for the new and shiny object. LinkedIn audio events. That discovery has been missing from the outset of that beta. It was crucial to get bums on seats. So this is interesting. So there's a test group that are playing with it right now. It's on mobile. Presumably they do that because it's just easier to program on mobile. They test it there exhaustively, and then they'll put it on desktop, I think is the MO.
So I read a really interesting blog post that criticized Facebook from moving off the social graph by doing exactly this, by injecting interest. And this is the TikTokification of social networks, right? It's like, okay, instead of showing you stuff your friends or your connections have surfaced up, we're just going to show you the overall trend on platform, because then you're going to get to the cool stuff. It sounds very much like LinkedIn is doing that as well. So your connections become less important to your feed, but again, the platform is going to we're going to have to trust the platform to deliver us what we want to see. That's very, very interesting. So it makes it more important for people to just follow people that they are interested to know about. So connect with them, obviously, follow them there's a follow button on LinkedIn. Yeah, subscribe to what they do. There's a follow or connect type of option. And then there's the notifications. So there's lots of ways in which you can sort of track people. Speaking of which, we should do that right now, folks, because during every single Brainfood Live on air, we always have a mini break in order to exactly do this, to try and boost everyone's networks, because we're all interested in the topic. Brainfood Live is a conversation starter. It should never be a bottleneck or a conversation stopper, but we have to come off air at some point. So now is the time to take a moment, get your LinkedIn profile and share it in the chat stream or the LinkedIn thread or the Facebook thread or the Twitter, wherever you are. Just stick your LinkedIn profile in there and then connect with everyone who also does the same. There's like 100 people watching here, maybe 50 odd people on LinkedIn, maybe a 50 more on whatever. Share it all there, connect with everybody. We're going to walk away from this with at least 50 to 100 people that also care about LinkedIn content. Talk to those folks after the show. Make sure you're well connected with them. Andy, that's a really interesting revelation about the splitting of the feed into four. That's really, really interesting.
And just before I go on to the next things that have changed, campanology, as Adam says, the surefire way to make sure that you are continually seeing someone's content is certainly to follow, and then you get the bell, click on that, see what happens, see if that works for you. But better than that, or moreover, what you should do is you get in the habit of visiting, let's say, Adam's profile on a regular basis, checking his activity section, and then not just consuming that in silence, but actually engaging with him or others. In fact, in the the discussion thread, that's the strongest signal that you can send to LinkedIn is the engagement piece. But do it yourself. Don't expect LinkedIn to feed you this stuff by clicking on these things. You must go and seek it out. The next few things that have changed since last we spoke, Hung, again, very recently, the bell, I think, was, I don't know, early this year, I forget, maybe end of last. The new things, brand new things, are carousels. Have you guys heard of carousels? You may have heard of carousels, but LinkedIn is talking about a different version of carousels. So carousels are a new content format. They mix images with video. They are swipeable, so you can go back and forth as long as you want. And LinkedIn says we've added these because LinkedIn has seen 20% increase year on year of users adding visual content to their posts. So this is exciting because it's kind of it could be like rebirth of stories. I'm not quite sure how long these videos can be, but it's essentially LinkedIn thinking, visual. Let's do visual, and let's throw everything in there. Let users be creative. If they want static images, great, but videos, they want to share snippets. Then let's also give them that. So that'll be cool, and that's coming. It's rolling out. Within those carousels, you can actually add a clickable link. So this is, I think, to counter the popular opinion on LinkedIn that whenever you add a link on a post, it kills the reach. And this is, I think, LinkedIn's response to that. And I say, we don't think that happens. But guess what? You don't believe us. So we're going to double down. We're going to give you shareable links, and you can shove them on a post. You can shove them on videos, and you can certainly shove them in these mini story type carousel affairs. So that's coming. Go ahead.
That's very interesting. And again, I think it does remind me a little bit of the stories vibe, isn't it? So they want to get away from just text because LinkedIn is very text heavy. And then they want to put video in. It's debatable whether it's a right or wrong thing. Sometimes people like text. We've seen like Reddit, for instance, they're super successful being very text and sticking to it. So it remains to be seen whether people will embrace video, although I think it will, because lots of people might be interested in the work that people are doing. I can imagine a scenario where, let's say you're doing a job. Yeah, why would you not take shoot a quick video and tell people about your work? I think that could be a thing, an employer branding angle, or just an authenticity thing that might be very interesting.
Behind the scenes. So, yep, behind the scenes.
Yep.
People love that stuff. And the final thing is something called template posts. So I think this is really targeting folks who are maybe stuck on just text, or perhaps maybe it's targeting newbies, get them off, to a roaring start. And LinkedIn are giving these templates, so numerous customizable backgrounds and fonts. Of course, you can use the clickable link too. And so they're ready to go content post that people can utilize. So when you go into post, you'll see an option at the bottom which says, I believe something like template, and then you click on that, and then you can go to town. So perhaps targeting people, as I said, newbies, but perhaps people who don't have Canva, haven't discovered that, and they make it really easy to again put that visual element in there. So LinkedIn's strong message here is saying, look, visual, please. Highly engaging, we think. So here are some tools to help you do that.
And then post more, because we still get that encouragement to post more, right? I mean, they want greater activity. Adam, you about to say something?
Yeah. Can I ask about something that I don't know whether I've been under a rock or whether I've only just noticed this, but I've only just in the last few weeks noticed that you can add a video to your profile image. Is that an old thing, or is that something that is new as well?
Yeah, Hung shaking his head. I think Adam did admit, he said, I haven't been on LinkedIn for years.
Adam's failing to pay attention to a post I made about this.
Even worse. But Adam's an entrepreneur. He's quite busy. Thank you very much.
I'm pretty certain very few people have actually done this. Actually,
I call it I call it headshot video. I think LinkedIn calls it something else, which is inscrutable and doesn't mean anything at all. So it's the headshot video, and you can on mobile. Obviously, that's where your video is, and make it easy. And so you can add I think it's 20 seconds. It might be 15. I don't know. Long time since I did it. And predictably, people are using it to sell. Which I find is really boring. So I do something completely different. I just use iClips on my phone, and I use an avatar, and I use my favorite song, and then I also identified the song at the bottom right. But it's another thing. If people are doing that deeper dive on your profile page, then it's another way to again show your personality,
which I think makes it a very useful tool for job seekers. So if you're actually on the market and looking for work, using that little feature, I mean, I think that just helps move you. Yeah, it brings you closer to the person making the decision, right? So give it a shot, folks.
Absolutely.
If you're looking for work.
How long is that? How long? So I've only just noticed it in the last couple of weeks. How long has this been available? Years?
A year, 1 year.
I wouldn't. Yeah, it's at least 12 months, if not a wee bit longer. I wouldn't kick yourself about not noticing that.
I've just never really seen anybody doing it until recently. I saw two in the last couple of weeks, and that's why I thought, hang on, I've never seen that before.
And instead of what LinkedIn does there again, which is totally useless, is they give a view count of that. So all right, so someone's seen this 800 times. I don't care. Give me actionable data, right? If Hung has been watching it 500 times, then that's useful, right? But show me who. It's like when LinkedIn used to, I think they stopped doing this. They used to say, someone has viewed your profile.
Yeah, that was pointless. I firmly believe in taking advantage of every opportunity you are given to convey a message in every format. So, that's something that I've never, only just noticed it. I'll do one maybe this weekend.
I mean, there's no doubt that the best way to is portray your personality and to tell people more or less everything they need to know about you in a shorter time as possible is a video, or even better, live audio. That's why people love live audio. It's cutting through the BS. It's finding my people. It's understanding, how someone thinks, how well they're able to think, et cetera, et cetera. That's why people love LinkedIn audio.
By the way, just as a quick one to the audience, if LinkedIn does have a new feature out there, I'm like pro using it immediately, because it'll at least teach you a little bit about how the platform is working. So sometimes you can overthink about the value or whatever, but give it just learn what the hell this is. And as recruiters, I think most of us are recruiters. We are so using LinkedIn. We are the most committed users of LinkedIn, of this platform, than any other type of individual. So if we are that in bed with it, we might as well get intimate, is what I'm saying. You need to just investigate every single option, every single thing. As soon as it comes out, give it a shot. Andy, a quick question for you specifically, actually. Oh, by the way, if anybody's got any questions for Andy, please use the ask a question function at the bottom of the screen if you're on Crowdcast. If you're on LinkedIn or you're anywhere else, put it in a comment and I'll try and get to it. But one question I wanted to ask you specifically, Andy, was you introduced me to this idea that you could do, you could draft and save LinkedIn posts. Now I saw that, and then it disappeared. Is that the experience everyone's got, where it appeared and then they rolled it back, or have you still got this ability to save unfinished posts?
Interesting. So I haven't checked to see if I have it, because I guess I'm just one and done, and I just I did it and I didn't have to come back. So I'll need to test that. But yeah, very, very good improvement from LinkedIn's perspective, because this is what happens. We do tend to maybe move on to a new tab, and we really, really hope, especially if it's been a lengthy post that we put together and we haven't got a local copy, then for LinkedIn to automatically save this for us is really, well, not automatically. I think it says, oh, you're going away, or you've gone away, do you want to save? And so we do have that. And then people got excited and say, oh, does this mean that scheduling is around the corner? Because it is only one post, right? You can't have multiple drafts. So perhaps, that is coming. I don't know, but it is a good example of LinkedIn perhaps listening to, what users want and their frustrations. But when your tab does something strange and your browser acts up, then it's gone for good. So it's not that smart that it automatically saves as you go. Go ahead.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I've had many a painful experience with LinkedIn, particularly on newsletters, actually, which for my newsletters are quite long, where it's just bugged out and you've lost everything. You think,
me too.
Wow,
me too.
That's
it's so frustrating. And guess what? Then you have to remember what you said, and it's never going to be as good as that.
Never going to be as good. Yeah, it's the most torturous thing. I mean, LinkedIn needs to fix their publisher there. Okay, so we've covered a huge amount of things, Andy. What other things have occurred over the last 12 months that are worth talking about the LinkedIn content feed itself, that we need to be aware of?
Yeah, so I touched on it, but without a doubt, LinkedIn's version of Clubhouse is now out of the beta. So everyone, if they have creator mode, will have access to LinkedIn audio. And it's, as I said, it's a great way to express yourself and to build your brand. What I neglected to mention is that I think the other main reason that people love doing audio is that there's no makeup required. There's no worrying about how I look. It's purely ease of jumping on, being heard, participating, and if you've got a great host, then they will bring you up. They will bring you up, maybe somewhat reluctantly, and then once you're up there, it's like, oh, I'm feeling quite comfortable with this. I'll do more of it. So it's a fascinating thing. Clubhouse, on the other hand, I think is if you go into Google Trends and you look at Clubhouse, you see that it peaked about 4 or 5 months ago, and I think they're struggling. They just announced, by the way, they're doing houses now, not clubs, but houses. It's like, well, people are saying, well, what's the difference? So it's pretty confusing, and perhaps they're struggling. I don't know. They probably have a shitload of money, and I guess it is what it is.
How do we access LinkedIn for the people that really don't know what they're doing? How do we access LinkedIn audio?
LinkedIn audio. So it should be creator mode. If you go to your profile, you should see an option on your profile page to click on creator mode, right? To switch on creator mode. And once you do that, it should give you access to LinkedIn audio. I think I'm right in saying that, right? I don't think it just, I think that's how you do it.
Yeah, but
that's how you access it.
If you create an event, you got to create an event, and then it'll give you, is it an audio event?
Oh, well, audio event. Yeah, got it. Okay.
Only if you have creator mode swithed on.
Yeah, no, I do. I just I'd never seen, I have got creator mode switched on. I've just never seen that audio event option.
Yeah.
Cool.
So thanks, Hung. Yeah. So it's underneath that LinkedIn audio event. But what else? I was going to say something else. No, I think that's it. No, I will drop those links. I will drop 2 links.
let's do the questions real quick. I want to just jump into some of these. Okay, Ivan Harrison, why aren't you aligned with their views on future talent? I think I was aligned. I might have misspoken, or you might have misheard. Ivan, next question. Maria said, I never thought of undersharing, but that makes absolute sense. That's why I'm here today. Any advice? So Maria wants to share a bit more. So what advice would we have for Maria?
So from the habitual non-sharer, look, I think there's different degrees of sharing, aren't there? You can share your voice, your personality in the language that you use. Whether or not you are comfortable using pictures of your family, your kids, your dog, your vacation pics, etc., that's entirely on you. I think some people will undoubtedly be interested in that because they want to live, their life via proxy, or they're just nosy AF, and they, or maybe it gives them, oh, I went there on vacation, last year, and then that's an option to it's basic water cooler stuff. It's finding commonality. It's finding ways to spark, new conversations with new people. But guess what? You're no longer new, because now that you've shared that, right, people are somewhat familiar with you. So that's another element of why all of this is working. But as Hung said, I'm different. I teach LinkedIn, so in theory, anyone on LinkedIn is presumably interested in what I have to say.
All right. Adam, you got any advice for Maria on that, just to get started on posting stuff, like to get over that mentality of not sharing like by default?
Yeah, there's two things really. The first is experiment with different formats of posting stuff, because you'll find that you either enjoy writing and you're good at writing, or you're better on video, or you're better at a different thing. And so try different things, see what you enjoy doing, and at the same time, see what generates the best response, and then keep doing what works and don't do what doesn't work.
Yep, that makes perfect sense. Maria, I'm going to, Adam, you got to go. Maria, I'm going to just add a final thing from my side, which I think does unlock it a little bit. But my attitude is always like, don't overthink the thing. So in other words, you don't have to just like write anything that's genius. Oftentimes, if you are sharing what I call operational content, the stuff that you're working on right now, just talk openly about that. Maybe you've got an idea you're not fully committed to, but you're interested in other people's opinions. That is a bit of content. Open that out as a conversation, and then see whether people can contribute. Before you know it, that may be the habitual way in which you start doing stuff. It's oftentimes how I get guests for Brainfood Live, where I'm saying, oh, this is an interesting topic. Let's talk about this. And then people contribute and start talking. And then from there, you find, oh, this person's actually got an interesting angle to this topic. Let's get them in. So be open with your journey, I guess, is that question. I've actually failed to answer that question probably. Okay, and Maurice saying, if you connect on LinkedIn, don't you automatically follow? I think you do, but you can follow and not connect. And we know that for a fact, because many people have many more followers than it is possible to connect. Because if you look at Bill Gates or something, he's got like 1 million plus followers. You can't have 1 million connections. So it's a different type of thing, and it's worth exploring. Okay, Andy, I think we're going to come to the end of the show. One final like takeaway thing from your side, apart from everyone like needing to follow Andy Foot right away. Just for LinkedIn insights, please do follow Andy, by the way. He's a guy I follow and look to for LinkedIn good stuff. What kind of advice would you give to someone who wants to get higher visibility on LinkedIn, knowing what you know now, knowing what's down the pipe, and where the direction of travel that LinkedIn's going right now?
Yeah, I've said it before, and I'm going to stick with the advice, is that if you are, I think this goes for at anything you do in life, frankly, before you jump in and you just start doing it, and there's certainly value in doing that and figuring it out. I think it'll be a quicker and less painful process before just jumping in and doing it, if you were to observe and be a keen student of people who are doing A, LinkedIn differently, and also B, doing LinkedIn well. Because you can see if they're doing well. You can see their engagement that they're getting, as an example, if you're looking at posts. And so you've got that feedback right there and then. and then use that information in a way that works for you and your brand, or to suit your objectives. Whatever it is you're trying to achieve via LinkedIn, is the process should be observe, learn, and then implement in a way that works for you. So if someone is in your space, in your sphere, and they're doing something particularly well, define well, just try and borrow from that playbook. And I think that's the main piece of advice. And the other thing that Hung mentioned it, I'll say it again, is that do try all of the things that LinkedIn gives you, all of the different tools, because it's an ever-changing feast of things to try. And you may well be better at video than you are at writing. You may in, I guess, a few months' time, find yourself as a host of LinkedIn audio, and so you become this moderator of, let's say, a changing array of experts. So your imagination really is the thing to leverage, but using all of the available tools in a way that works best for you and your talents and opportunities.
Yeah, make use of it. Like, don't be policed is one thing. I've just checked the polls as well, just at the bottom there. Why people post on LinkedIn. Promote a vacancies was the number one thing to do. And I'm thinking, yes, that's what recruiters do, but it is kind of boring and it doesn't really work. My attitude or my advice is to start conversations. So forget about thinking about content as something you push at people. Rather more think of them as just conversations you have with people. If you just switch your mindset there and start having dialogue instead of like consume this, then a lot of the pressure in terms of producing stuff goes away, because you're just having conversations. And if you're a recruiter, you should know how to have that. Okay, that's it. Andy Foote, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Wonderful to have you here. Obviously, we'd love to get you back before the end of the year. We have to do that. We're going to do it every quarter, won't we, this year? We didn't do it. But we'll try and get you back if you're up for it before the end of the year, and we'll get another update. But thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for joining us as well. I'm going to try and write this up and send it to the people who have requested it. So I'm going to try and write some more show notes on this and get it out to you guys. So thank you for joining us. And yeah, follow the channel if you're interested in more conversational content like this. That was really good, I thought. Okay, the end of the show. Oh, shit, next week. Bear in mind, next week, we are back on Friday, as we always are. We're going to be talking about how to initiate culture change in your TA team. So imagine you have inherited a team that needs cultural change, cultural shift, behavioral shift. How do you do that? We've got a lot of experienced TA leaders that are going to come in and talk to us about the leadership lessons that they've brought to play in order to do this. So if you want to watch this, best thing you can do is follow the channel. You'll be notified. You can follow my LinkedIn, as we talked about today, because I do broadcast on that. Not sure whether I'm going to keep doing it on the company page. Might do it on personal next time. And you can register on the show itself if you go to the Crowdcast homepage. Okay, that's about it. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.